after 9, I had this jumping. You need to get a wedgie, be flipped over your boxes, or over your foe. The other vaginal option. Better straighten they posture. Got famous all up in contact. Might write this with a doctor. Tell a pop star quit hiding. A caption won't action. No accident. I'm hands on. He around get polished. Don't Wayne grow like he was in jail. That's conniving. Then get his face tatted like a apologizing. I'm glad D Rose came home. Y'all didn't deserve him neither. From Alondra down to Central. Better not speak on Serena. And your homeboy needs a peanut.
Oh boy. Woo. What a week. Welcome to Areva Martin in real time here on KBLA 1580. I'm your special guest host, Farajii Muhammad. And yes, they are not like us, because we are unapologetically black, unapologetically progressive, and we don't black down. Folks, we got a fantastic show for you. If you are in and out of the city, riding around, doing what you do on this Friday evening or Friday afternoon, going into the evening time, we want to welcome you to the show. So much to discuss. And the first thing we want to invite you to do is make sure that you join us on all social media platforms, especially follow me on social media. You can find me at The Real Farajii on Instagram, at Farajii on Twitter, and I would love to connect with you. Also follow my sister Areva Martin on IG at Areva Martin as well. And of course, if you're in Los Angeles and you are aware that this week we celebrated our 3rd year anniversary for KBLA 1580. So make sure you follow us, KBLA 1580, on all social media platforms. We definitely would love your support. Man, oh man, what a week it has been. We had our fantastic Climate Justice Symposium on Tuesday. We celebrated our 3rd year anniversary. And of course, Juneteenth on Wednesday. And now we're closing out the week, a fantastic and historic week for KBLA 1580. So we look forward to continuing to do the great work, continuing to make a space, and of course, having these conversations that you're not hearing from any other place. Folks, for today's show, we're going to be talking to a number of people about a lot of different issues. First and foremost, in a few moments, we're going to be checking in with the mayor of Waterloo, Iowa. That's right, the great state, the great swing state of Iowa. Mayor Quentin Hart will be joining us in a moment to talk to us about the mayor's conference that is happening in Washington, as well as how is Iowa preparing for the presidential election season. So we'll have that conversation. In the second part of this hour, we're going to check in with Lakeisha French of the Future in Color Institute, as she's going to share with us a report that they released called Project GDP X Road to 2050, a new wealth project, going to give us some insight about economic futurism and the global black GDP. That's the gross domestic product, unlocking the power of black economy. So we're going to have that conversation. And then in the second hour, we're going to be checking in with Dr. Edmund Moore, a finance expert who's going to talk about this rising trend of adult children who are seeking financial support from their parents. Can y'all believe that? If you have that situation, you do not want to miss this conversation. So we're going to have that discussion and a whole lot more. So make sure y'all stick around. But first, let us do our due diligence, and let's welcome now the mayor of Waterloo, Iowa, Mayor Quentin Hart, who's on the line. Mr. Mayor, welcome to the show. How are you this afternoon, sir?
I am incredibly blessed, and I'm a fan, and I just want to say what a tremendous honor to be here with you this evening on such a historic week coming off Juneteenth.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Hey, brother, I truly appreciate you, Mr. Mayor, for being with us, because we know that you're busy doing the work of the people, and more importantly, this is an historic moment, not just for Iowa, not just for us here at KBLA, but for all of our people here in this country. You know, we're seeing a lot of changes, Mr. Mayor, so that's why I'm very, very excited to have the opportunity to talk to you at this particular time. Let's first start off talking a little bit about what's going on with this mayor's conference, where they have this major gathering convening of mayors from across the country coming together. Y'all have created this network where you discuss not just the accomplishments, but some of the big challenges, try to shore up resources. Take it away, Mr. Mayor. Talk to us about this mayor's conference.
Yes, sir. I am at the 92nd annual summer convening of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, which is the largest convening of mayors in the entire country. We have mayors from every part of the United States, from Iowa to Montgomery to Long Beach to all parts Chicago. But we're here to discuss the business of the cities and issues ranging from homelessness, mental health, infrastructure, workforce development, but a myriad of different conversations about how we could be more diligent in serving our communities and solving some of the challenges. A lot of people talk about it, but we are here trying to work with one another to solve some of those challenges.
And talk to us about what are some of the big challenges facing U.S. mayors today, sir?
Well, Waterloo, Iowa, things we're facing is a growing homeless population, mental health issues, old infrastructure in black neighborhoods and lower socioeconomic areas, workforce development. Do we have the workforce for tomorrow? Digital equity, how people are connected through neighborhoods and housing. And the interesting part is you can be in Waterloo, Iowa, or you can be in Los Angeles with Mayor Karen Bass, and a lot of us have very similar problems and issues of what we are facing. Some may be on a smaller scale, but it's still a large scale situations that we're facing in our neighborhoods and our communities today.
Something that stuck out for me is the issue of homelessness and the other issue of mental health. Of course, here in the city of Los Angeles, we have our share of dealing with this ongoing issue of those who are unhoused. Share with us a little bit about what has Waterloo, Iowa, the state of Iowa, how have you been able to address this particular issue?
Well, the challenge is we are working towards that right now. Mm-hmm. Of course, we're working with our mental health professionals. We're working with rapid rehousing programs. But one of the challenges we have is just housing for people also. And so this month, I actually launched a homeless task force, and I brought together providers from across the city. And I wanted people to get out their silos and come in. Let's talk about the issues, number one. Number two, to take a look at the data. Number three, to help develop a strategic plan. So we're very early on in our working as well. I did attend a task force meeting yesterday, mm-hmm. which is led by Mayor Karen Bass out of L.A., discussing with other mayors the challenges they face. And kind of hearing what some of the things that people are doing. But this is an ongoing crisis for a lot of our communities. And you're right, it goes hand in hand in some aspects with mental health.
Yeah.
Making sure that we have the services. Before, it used to be the thought that the county government is the Department of Health and they'll deal with mental health. But mayors can no longer sit back and not take a passive role. We need to take an active role and bring our partners together to make sure that we have the services. So there's no longer, we're going to expect our state to do it. We're going to expect our county government. We need to make sure that we're engaged and being part of the solution as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Folks, if you're just tuning in, this is Areva Martin in real time. I'm your special guest host, Farajii Muhammad. Joining me on the line is Mayor Quentin Hart, who serves as the mayor for the city of Waterloo, Iowa. We're going to continue the conversation on the other side. We're just getting started in this first hour. Stay with us. It's Areva Martin in real time.
She's the real deal in real time. You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Tune into More Than That with Gia Peppers, live this Sunday at 4 p.m. or whenever you listen to podcasts. This episode of More Than That is sponsored by Gillette Skin Guard, helping Black men look and feel their best. Gillette, the best a man can get.
With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Kind of like choosing Derek Jeter as the pinch hitter for your baseball team.
Jeter, you're in. We need a home run.
I'll give it a try. I've swung a bat once or twice.
That's out of here.
Yep, even easier than that. With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with Mike, who's leaving home to protect his family and yours. We're with all service members and their families who need community, connection, and maybe a bit of magic. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
Linking social justice and climate justice all year long. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The way we spend our time defines who we are. You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Absolutely, and I'm your special guest host, Farajii Muhammad, and I'm joined by our first guest for the hour, Mayor Quentin Hart of the city of Waterloo, Iowa. Mayor Hart is checking in with us from the U.S. Conference of Mayors 92nd annual meeting to bring together local and federal leaders. Now, this is a convening of 200 mayors from across the country. They have convened in Kansas City, Missouri to attend this meeting. And that's happening right now from June 20th through the 23rd, talking about everything from housing and homelessness to public safety to the surging mental health crisis, the economy, and so much more. So we're happy to have Mr. Mayor Quentin Hart joining us today to kind of give us some insight as to what's being discussed and, more importantly, how mayors across the country are going to be addressing these problems. Mr. Mayor, I want to kind of get back to the piece that, you know, part of this mayor's conference is to bring mayors together to kind of essentially to, check each other's notes and kind of get some insight as to who is doing what and what is working and what isn't working. And I often believe this, Mr. Mayor. You tell me if I'm wrong on this, but we often have these larger conversations about the president. We talk about Congress, but it's the mayors. It's those in the mayoral seats across this country that are essentially on the front line of all of these issues and crises that we find ourselves in. What's been the sentiment of you and your colleagues as y'all come together and you trying to figure things out as it relates to all of these issues? How are folks motivated to do the work?
Absolutely. One is like therapy too, because now you get an opportunity to be around your peers. They understand what you're going through, and as I mentioned, doesn't make a difference how large the city is, how small the city is. Very similar challenges. But, as mayors, we don't get the opportunity to have a federal recess where we can leave and go home for 3 weeks while Congress is closed. We're there every day. The cities are the incubators of innovation. Mm-hmm. And everyone here, whether you have R by your name or you have a D by your name, folks are here working together, because in the end, there's no Democratic potholes in those streets or Republican potholes there. And I've never heard any of those that are housing insecure ask me when they try to get services whether or not I'm a Republican or Democrat. So the best thing we have is that we don't have to politicize and cause division. Yeah. Our goal is to try to bring people together to solve these problems that we're facing every day. Mental health, anyone with suffering mental health challenges, they don't care what your partisan is, right? They just want things to be done. And so that's been the focus. That's been the sentiments. I sit next to folks from all types of backgrounds that have one focus, and that's to improve our communities.
Absolutely. And, at the end of the day, it's just all about public service. I remember having a conversation with my mentor one time, and he told me, he said, if you ever want to get in public service, the best way to stay in that role is constituent services, making sure that the snow is clean, has been removed, trash is picked up, those type of services, just to relieve the burden of people's lives. And it makes a huge, huge difference. Would you agree, or is it that small things that matter the most when it comes to public service?
It means the most. When someone doesn't have a service that's provided, their water's not working correctly, or their garbage didn't get picked up, they don't call Congress. They don't call the State House. They call your local mayor. When you're at the basketball games and football games, they come up to you and talk to you, because this is where the rubber meets the road. Yeah. And, that's no aspersion against any other level of government. But right here is where we are meeting with people, talking to people on a real and personal basis, because we live amongst them. So it's a tremendous, tremendous opportunity to be able to serve in this capacity.
Mr. Mayor, I wonder, do you think that in the midst of all of this, political, some people will say this severely partisan political space that we find ourselves in, do you think that people really understand the importance and value of the mayor's role?
I think it's growing more so over the years. I could tell you at times it's underappreciated, right? Mm-hmm. Just being able to deliver your basic services, because if there's not a problem, right, if you flush that toilet stool, right, you have an expectation that it will go to the treatment plant. And so, sometimes we take it for granted. But, I think people are starting to take a look around and see such viciousness within the political sector, and are being turned off by what we're seeing on the national level, politicizing the plight of people, right? And so, like I said, our goal is just to make sure that we're serving and taking care of the needs of people. So I agree with your point. I heard somebody say, if you want something done, then give it to a mayor.
There it is. Absolutely. Just want to get a couple of more thoughts from you as we are closing in on our conversation here. Your city is in the state of Iowa, and this is a presidential election year, and historically the state of Iowa has been the litmus test for how America votes with the Iowa caucuses. But we're starting to see some changes in the scheduling of, for both the Democrats and the Republicans. Talk to me, Mr. Mayor. How is the city of Waterloo, the state of Iowa, preparing for this presidential election season?
Well, we also have Board of Supervisor elections. We have state elections. And as you can see, the state of Iowa has shifted. The challenge that we have now with outlawing DEI on college campuses and within our school systems. So Iowa still has challenges. Nicole Hannah-Jones, the 1619 Project, is from Waterloo, Iowa. And the very place that she's from is a place that's trying to block conversations of DEI and training for people within our community. So the state of Iowa has a lot of issues, and we have state elections that are coming up, and we have a presidential election that's important too, because Waterloo, Iowa is a city that has older parts, and the bipartisan infrastructure has been a game changer for trying to help and create generational change within our community. And so the goal is to try to let people know the consequences of the election, what's still at stake, what we still have to fight for, and about the creation of a new, better neighborhoods. And so we're getting the word out to people. We're having conversation, but there is a lot at stake, not just the presidential, but also our state and our board of supervisors elections also.
Do you find that there is an excitement in Waterloo for all of these upcoming elections?
I can say it's been a change since when we were first in the nation, but now people are becoming activated. We've gone through the primary. People are becoming activated. People are working, and there's been a shift over the last month or so in people's enthusiasm. So I hope that continues to move forward, but we need to continue to educate people on what's at stake.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, as we look at these changes, you know, there has been a lot of more conversation about black voters, black issues such as reparations. Give me some insight, Mr. Mayor, as to how these conversations have been had in the city of Waterloo and around the state.
Well, our conversations have been primarily about recreating our neighborhoods. Like right now, we have a railroad that sits right in the middle of the neighborhood, and it's dissecting. It's environmental injustice, and so we've been working with the federal government to put plans together for potential railroad relocation. We've been able to work to put overpasses back in the community. We have been working on affordable housing opportunities with local agencies. And so it may not come back in the form of reparations directly in the community, but we are re-engaging and putting a tremendous amount of effort and resources in the neighborhoods that I grew up in to make sure we change them for the next generation to come. And so that is how we have been dealing with this, making sure that people have proper access to mental health services, jobs. We have an organization called the 24/7 Black that is specifically focused on entrepreneurship and housing starts for blacks within our local community. And so we have a number of different efforts to try to change our trajectory as a people, but move our community forward at the same time. Absolutely.
Absolutely. We have about a minute and a half, Mr. Mayor, but, you know, I want to let folks know that as we're talking about all of these things, the history is not lost on the fact that you are the first African-American that's been elected to the office of mayor for the city of Waterloo, Iowa, and you're a young man at that.
Oh, I am? I am? I appreciate that.
You're a young brother at that. Talk to us about how this work has informed who you are. And we got about 30 seconds on this, Mr. Mayor.
It is worthwhile work. It is everything that I have every day I get to bring to the table, all the experiences from my parents coming from Mississippi to all of those challenges. You know, I am so thankful and I embody them all to the point where Waterloo, Iowa was the first and only city in the state of Iowa to have a majority black city council. Right. And so I'm starting to see change. I'm starting to see people that are stepping up on all. The Head Start director is black. We have multiple people starting to take over leadership positions. So that's where I'm really seeing good things in the next generation starting to take the mantle and take the lead.
And your election is up. Is you're seeking re-election as we speak, correct?
No, next year. Next year at this time.
Next year this time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know how the campaign process goes, so you got to throw it out there. Mayor Quentin Hart.
Can I put a shameless plug in?
Got Quentin 10 seconds, Mr. Mayor.
Quentin Hart, IA is my social media. Ask me anything you want to. Reach out.
There it is right there. Mayor Quentin Hart joining us from the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and serves as the mayor for the city of Waterloo, Iowa. Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for joining us here on Areva Martin in Real Time, and we look forward to reconnecting with you soon, brother.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Folks, stay tuned. More conversation up next here on Areva Martin in Real Time.
Areva Time. is the right time. More of Areva Martin in real time when we come forward.
I'm Doug Davis with the latest from the Black Information Network. Vice President Kamala Harris is promoting reproductive rights next week. The Vice President's visit to Maryland on Monday will coincide with the 2-year anniversary of the Supreme Court's decision overturning the landmark Roe v. Wade ruling. A former member of the Prince George's County Council who abruptly resigned last week is now being charged with embezzlement. Prosecutors accused Jamel Mel Franklin, who is black, of taking over $100,000 from his campaign fund between 2020 and 2023 to pay personal expenses. He was charged with felony theft, embezzlement, and perjury. Willie Mays is being remembered at Major League Baseball's tribute to the Negro Leagues. The San Francisco Giants played the St. Louis Cardinals Thursday night at Rickwood Field in Alabama, the oldest ballpark in the U.S., and where the last game in the Negro League was held in 1948. And that is the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network at BINnews.com. Stay safe and cool. Have a great weekend.
Be advised that over in Orange, Santa Ana Canyon in both directions between Ware Canyon and Gibson Canyon Road have all lanes blocked due to a severe brush fire. Right now, we don't have any other information, but please be advised that this brush fire is taking over and causing stop traffic in the area. In Long Beach's 710 North at Anaheim Street, an accident is on the right shoulder, while stop traffic continues from Pico Avenue. Here's A through J interchange. And as you head on to downtown's 10 East at Grand Avenue, an accident involving 2 vehicles is on the right shoulder, with over 45 minutes running heavy from 20th Street.
Need to hire? You need Indeed. Their end-to-end solution helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all year round. Schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from your Indeed dashboard. Learn more by visiting Indeed.com/credit.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
For those of you still scratching your head about the Lakers hiring J.J. Redick as their new coach, there's a pretty impressive list of NBA coaches who got their first coaching job without any prior experience. Redick is the latest NBA coach in this unique category. Check out these names of NBA head coaches who had never coached before getting hired. Doc Rivers, Steve Kerr, Jason Kidd, Mark Jackson, Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas. All of these guys had some measure of success with their teams. Rivers had the Clippers in the playoffs in all 7 seasons when he was their coach. Kerr has 4 NBA championships with Golden State. Just want to let Lakers Nation know that it's possible. Tomorrow night at 7 here on KBLA, join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough for Out of Bounds. 60 minutes of sports chatter with some flavor. You can join the conversation at 1-800-920-1580. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader. KBLA Talk 1580. Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcasts of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your black. Follow the leader. Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelinos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV.
Workers in California cut and polish man-made stone for countertops, showers, and more. Without proper protections, workers breathe in harmful dust from the artificial stone material, which puts them at risk of developing silicosis. California employers are required to protect their employees from harmful silica dust by providing proper equipment and training. Stop dusty and deadly practices. Learn more at worksafewithsilica.org. This is a message from Cal OSHA.
Hey, LA residents, it's planting season and the perfect time to get shade trees growing around your home. LADWP and City Plants are giving every resident up to 7 free trees. That's right, 7 free trees delivered right to your door. Trees are great for the environment, help improve air quality, and can help you save on your bill when you use less air conditioning to stay cool indoors. Learn more at ladwp.com/free trees. That's ladwp.com/free trees. Tips to help improve your credit score in 2024. Establishing credit is an important key to achieving financial health, but building a credit history from scratch can feel challenging since you need credit to build credit. First, what does it mean to build credit? All consumers have a score between 300 and 850. You want your score to be as high as possible as lenders look at your credit score to make loan and credit decisions. A good credit score shows you have a track record of borrowing money responsibly. Remember, it's never too late to build or rebuild your credit. This segment is sponsored by J.P. Morgan Chase & Company.
Present. Let's get back to more of Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
All right, here we go, third take. Real quick, Ali. Got me breathing with dragons. I'll crack the egg in your basket. I'm Marilyn Manson with madness. Now just imagine the magic I like to. Don't ask for your favorite rapper.
He did.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
Church.
He did.
I killed him.
Amen.
And this is rigor mortis, and it's gorgeous when you die. I recorded and I'm Morpheus, the matrix in my mind. I'm out the orbit, you an orphan and a hairdresser combined. I'm on the toilet when I rhyme. If you then I decline. I climax where you begin and then I end on cloud 9. And that's important when you morph into an angel in the sky. And don't be forging on my signatures. My listeners reply and tell me that you biting style. You got a hell of an appetite and I'm a beer for a while. Just buckle up before the ride or knuckle up if you can fight. We always making them duck or die. A suit and tie is suitable and usual. It's suicide. CSI just might investigate this parasite.
He did. Amen.
That's what they telling me. Aim it at your celebrity. This is studio felony. Pharaoh Gambi to many and cool enough for the 70s. Paybacks are been living in debt.
K-Dot himself.
Especially leave a call on his mother voice. Mother say that he rest in peace.
We are celebrating Black Music Month here at KBLA 1580. I'm your special guest host Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for riding with us. It's been a big week for K-Dot. Kendrick Lamar, he had his birthday earlier this week, and then he had that epic concert at the Forum on Juneteenth, bringing folks together. So it's only appropriate that we talk about how we can tap into our Black global power. Because when you think about a man like a Kendrick Lamar, you think a man like, oh, okay, here's a man who is going to be pushing the culture and taking it to the next level, right, Andy?
Absolutely, 100%. I don't see why that moment right there does not go down in hip hop history, in Black history. Obviously, it was Juneteenth, and for Los Angeles, to have all of those individuals from different sections of Los Angeles. If anybody knows about the politics in Los Angeles.
Street politics.
The street politics.
Right.
That was a historical moment. And to have unification, it was nothing but brothers on stage. It was a couple ladies on there, but I'm just saying, a lot of black men, unity, different sections. That's historical. And that moves mountains. And I think 100% that needs to be celebrated right there on Juneteenth.
And on Juneteenth. And as Snoop Dogg say, one of the legendary OGs of the game, Mr. Lamar, you are king of the West. All right, so let's continue to talk about kings. Let me check in with my next guest, who is joining us on the line right now. She serves as the founder of the institute called Future in Color Institute. And they are putting out an inaugural Black GDP report, which is the Gross Domestic Product Report, which helps to quantify economic contributions of global black communities. So I want to now welcome Miss Lakeisha French joining into the conversation. Lakeisha French Merritt, excuse me. Lakeisha, thank you so much for joining us here on Areva Martin in Real Time and on KBLA 1580. How are you this evening?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you guys for having me. How are you?
We're doing good. We're doing good. First and foremost, for those who are not familiar with the Institute and the work that you do, tell us more about Future in Color Institute.
Sure, happy to. So the Future in Color Institute, we are a global think to action tank focused on realizing the full economic potential of underinvested communities. We're looking to shape the future as we think about emerging technology and how it's changing every facet of life. And there's really this opportunity we have to create a shared future and reality. And but we know that there are challenges in that. And so we felt that that work needed to be institutionalized to make sure that that our communities are not left behind as we think about these opportunities and to receive a return on investment for all of the contributions that we will make going forward. But so that's what the focus of the Institute is. And so when we look at the data, we know that by the year 2050, the largest concentration of young people will be on the continent of Africa. We also know that by the year 2050, 1 in 4 of every human being on the planet, according to the New York Times, will be of African descent. We know that by the year 2045 here in the U.S., there will be a new majority. However, the black community is not the majority in that number. That's to be noted because we know that race is a social construct and that that the whiteness will absorb other races economically to hold economic power. So we felt that there was a need to make sure that we fuel and direct investment and create and shape policies that ensure that we are not left behind and that we create and shape the future of economies.
I really like the sound of this, Lakeisha, and I got a couple of moments before we take our next pause, but I want to kind of get your take on this because you're doing this Future in Color Institute in partnership with the Clinton Global Initiative. Give us some insight as to the nature of that relationship.
Yeah, sure. So we held on the eve of Juneteenth, we held a co-hosted event on economic futurism and the global black GDP, connecting and unlocking the power of black economies. And we chose the Clinton Global Initiative to partner with on this because we will be submitting a commitment to action in September at the Clinton Global Initiative, which is their global convening, the week of the UN General Assembly, which is a big global week in New York. And so when we thought about this commitment that we had to quantify the black GDP and to grow it by 50% by 2050, which is our commitment, we thought that we needed to be really thoughtful and intentional about how we approach this. And so when you look at the Clinton Global Initiative, they do amazing global work, particularly on the continent, right? And so we thought, what better time than Juneteenth for us to begin to push forward a global black agenda that really has us to talk about global blackness as a collective and not foster more siloed investments and focus, because as we're seeing the population shift and those numbers I just shared with you, other people are seeing that too. And when they see population growth, they see profit. Right. And so it might, you might start hearing that there's tons of investment going into Africa, right, or African entrepreneurs, and they basically silo us and get to pick and choose. And so what we need to be saying is that we need to band together as a collective global black community, count up our assets and what we have. But it begins with dialogue and making sure that those who are wanting to show up as accomplices and allies, that they're clear that we have one global black agenda and that we expect and will be pushing for investment across the global black community, which includes foundational black Americans. When you look at the transatlantic slave trade map, you can literally take that map and trace not just the U.S. global economy and its success, but the entire global economy. And so we have been that invincible engine, and the foundational black community has been the key core driver in that. So we just wanted to make sure that we were intentional, and what better way than the EVA June teams to begin for us to put forth the way in which we want to go forward, and those investments and policies and support should shape around a future we want to see as a global Black community.
Absolutely. We're going to take another pause. When we come forward, we're going to continue the conversation because, Lakeisha, I would love to get some more details. You're putting out this report about this Black GDP. You're talking about economic futurism, and I want to get more details from you as to what that looks like, and more importantly, how do we tap into it, especially given where we are economically in this country as of now, being a nation of people who consume more than they produce. And so how do we get to that place of really tapping in and capitalizing off of our economics and not just building someone else's world, but we can build our own reality. So we'll have that part of the conversation on the other side. Folks, stay with us. You're tuned into Areva Martin in Real Time. I'm Farajii Muhammad, your special guest host, and this is KBLA 1580.
She's the real deal in real time. You're listening to Areva Martin in Real Time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Looks like Bobby needs a ride again.
Grab the keys. Let's take our auntie to the swap meet. Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, do it all in a Chevy SUV. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse limited models. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $28.60 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8% plus finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 7/1/24.
Become a U.S. citizen with the help of the Los Angeles Public Library. Get free and confidential information on immigration and citizenship. Visit lapl.org/NAI to find your nearest library, or call us at 213-228-7390. That's lapl.org/NAI or 213-228-7390. And start your path to becoming a U.S. citizen with the help of the Los Angeles Public Library. Call 213-228-7390 or visit lapl.org/NAI.
Ooh, I'm so ready for this weekend away with my girls.
Hey, hit the road. How about some free gas?
Free gas? How?
Try new Febreze car for some serious freshness, and you can win gas for a full year. Visit Febreze.com to learn more.
Say less.
You may not win, but you're gonna have a fresh smelling whip.
Thanks, DJ Fresh. Now how about some music?
Hey, yo, this next one goes out to new Febreze car for giving you a chance to win free gas. La, 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 la.
No purchase necessary. Must be 18 to enter in 73124 for rules and how to enter. Visit Febreze.com.
If you say you care about the community, you have to also care about the climate. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Tia Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chuchas opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chuchas Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The way we spend our time defines who we are. You're listening to Areva Martin in Real Time on KBLA Talk 1580.
That's right, folks, and you also tune into Farajii Muhammad, your special guest host. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation and riding with me this afternoon here in the great city of Los Angeles, as we are checking now in with Lakeisha French Merritt, who is a serial entrepreneur, social innovator, but most notably, She is the founder of the Future in Color Institute, and they're putting out an inaugural Black GDP, meaning Gross Domestic Product report, which is set to quantify economic contributions of global Black communities in an effort to get us to see that there is a future for Black economics, that we're not just talking about it, but that we're trying to create a new path and lay new ground for this change. And Lakeisha, once again, we thank you so much for joining us here on the show this afternoon. I'm interested to see, how does Future in Color Institute, how do you tap in? How do you harness all of this economic, and I'm going to use this word and you tell me if this is the correct word or not, but how do you harness all of this economic power that Black America has to start shifting this power from being from being one of a consumer to becoming a producer of a different reality? This sounds like a Herculean task, Lakeisha, to try to get us to shift. And I would think that the first part of the shift is to change our thinking, to understand that there can be a Black as they say, Afro-futurism in terms of our economics. Help me to understand that. How do you do that?
Absolutely. It is. And so some people, even ask the question, like, why are you, quantifying and developing a set of macroeconomic data, right? Because we know that, we're still developing infrastructure for Black businesses, and because every system was built on Eurocentric models, right, and white males. And so I say that, we can chew gum and ride a bike at the same time, right? So I think we have to begin to lay out a backwards design plan. And so that's what this data is about. So how we harness the power of Black economies is to first, we pay homage to those who have historically contributed, our ancestors, by calculating their historic contributions, which is the first part of the work that we've done. We went back over 150 years, looking at sectors and industries that we have shaped and where we have contributed, and resources and assets that we have brought to the table, and what the economic impact of those have been, so that we can continuously track those. We then look at present day, where we are right now, where we're contributing, because we are significantly contributing to the GDP. When you look at industries, even like the creator economy, we're having significant strides in that. We're just not getting the ROI on it, right? That's the return on investment. And then once you do that, we look at, how many Black attorneys do we have in the music industry? How many Black engineers do we have in the aerospace industry? How just taking an account of where we are, where we've been, and therefore we can then begin to make projections, right, as to where we're headed, given the current rate of how we are producing. And then we look at, the year 2050, right, where we know that we have this demographic advantage, but also looking at what the projections of the current economy are right now. What are the 20 countries that will lead in GDP? What are those sectors and industries that are going to drive and create and generate and put us in the best position to transfer the most wealth, right? A lot of those obviously are in the emerging technology space, but tech is going to be across every industry and sector, from food to how we travel. So what we need to do is to get those numbers and begin to look at sectors and industries and regions where there are emerging economies, where, look at Birmingham, St. Louis, Baltimore, places where there's a large concentration of Black people, where we can actually be the infrastructure of that future economy. And then we take those numbers, and we get in what's called value creation salons, right, with those industries and sectors. We don't want to talk about supplier diversity anymore. We don't need to mention DEI anymore. We can land this just by talking about value creation, because the truth is we have always contributed value. We have been the key driver. We were the asset. We were the commodity, right? And so what we're saying is that we're shifting from consumers to producers. So part of our job is a public-facing campaign that we are launching that is going to help our community to shift to that. And so the best way is to reach people with what they might already know and feel in our hearts, because we know as a people, we know when our culture has influenced something, right? Mm-hmm. When we say we built this, right? But that does us no good if we don't have what my mentor would always say, know your numbers. Right? Don't walk in any room and not know your numbers. Whether you're going into a job interview, you're pitching to an investor for a company, know your numbers. So the forward-facing public campaign that we are launching is called Count the Culture. And so the Count the Culture campaign, we're going to begin to look at profiling influential individuals who have contributed already significantly to the GDP and looking at our methodology and quantifying that contribution versus their current net worth, right? And so beginning to get our community to see this. And so this helps us to get this data adopted on the back end, and also using those profiles as case studies, right, to begin to look at the trajectory of contribution and wealth within our communities compared to what we're actually contributing. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to be doing tours around HBCU campuses. We're going to be doing, things to really help our community as a toolkit. So we'll have a pledge. Our campaign is called The Road to 2050, a new wealth projection, because right now, by the year 2053, they're projecting that the average Black household will have zero negative wealth. We don't accept that, right? So if we're to shape this new wealth projection, that's why we say Road to 2050. We're gonna focus on abundance and our assets. We don't want to talk about disparities. We don't even, as a matter of fact, we told our team, we don't want to mention the word underserved. We don't need to talk about equity, any of that. Our people have always created value, and we need to double down on the investments that are already happening, get us in the industries we need to be in, and create policies that protect and sustain that.
All right, we got a couple of minutes, and Lakeisha, you dropping a bunch of jewels. You dropping some jewels, some economic jewels. You dropping some jewels around that gets me excited about this idea. So I'm very happy that you're sharing this, and we have a couple of moments, so I'm gonna try to use this the best way that I can. First and foremost, this is a revolution. I was always taught that business is warfare, and we always know that anytime you're talking about uprooting, disrupting any type of system, especially the economic system, especially if you're talking about capitalism, if you're talking about just disrupting those type of systems, you are waging war. So what type of pushback have you gotten on this? Because this is a future without our oppressor, our historical oppressor. So what kind of future have you gotten? Some pushback against this? Or if so, what have people been saying?
Yeah, I would say more of we've gotten curiosity. We've gotten.
I'm sure.
Because let's be clear. We're not saying this GDP, this Black GDP report, is not going to share with the white-led organizations and businesses and people that they know our value. They know the numbers. Right. The difference is we will know the numbers. Right. And so it changes the conversation. Imagine walking into a job interview and you're able to say to somebody, hey, listen, happy to, talk about the position. Based on the GDP reports, it looks like a Black man of my age bracket from the region that I've been in or the few regions I've lived in, when we typically join a company or a media company like this is historically what we have contributed or what we've helped to generate. And so looking at this and looking at your salary offer, I would, ask if you, I would love to, sort of see if we can land in a place that is more aligned with what the actual return on investment should be. Right. That's a revolution.
Lakeisha, that's a revolution. You coming into the office telling you taking knowing your worth to the next level. I'm feeling it. Yeah. Look. So, I think that's important. I know that's important, and I love what you said earlier. You said know your numbers. You should know your worth, and I always say yes. You should know your worth, and I think everybody would believe that they should be worth or should be paid $1 million when they come into a space and all of those things. But you're talking about market value. You're talking about skills assessment. You're talking about quantifying the contributions, right? In a very, very real way. And I don't want to stop this conversation, but I have to just because I'm up against the clock. But this sounds very fascinating, sounds very forward-thinking. And I want to just throw it out there for folks that want to know more information about the Future in Color Institute. Go to the website, ficinstitute.org. Again, that's ficinstitute.org. Lakeisha, we got 30 seconds. What do you want our audience to gain from your introduction of these ideas?
I want the audience to know and feel that you have a access point to build generational, and I'll say from one of my colleagues, Dr. LaTanya White, she created a methodology called not generational, but dynastic wealth, dynasty wealth. We have an opportunity to leverage emerging technology and the shifts happening, and the numbers are in our favor, right? The statistics are out. The data is out. The future is color. We have always known that we drive the economy. Culture is currency, but you will now have a set of data and a movement and an institute that is dedicated to putting tools in your hand to help you to fight those battles you fight every day. But we just need you to get more active in the Black GDP and think about how to do that in your life to move from a consumer to a producer. And you can start that by signing up for our email. And then when we release our pledge to count the culture, we'd love to have you and see you in the city.
There it is right there. There it is right there. Lakeisha French Merritt, we thank you so much for joining us here on the show to talk to us or give us a little sneak peek of this inaugural Black GDP report. Future in Color Institute, Road to 2050, a global tech renaissance for economic parity. And this is quite fascinating, to say the least. Lakeisha, we are going to keep track of the work that you're doing, but I thank you so much for joining us today to talk to us about it.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to continuing the conversation.
Absolutely. Folks, we got to take another quick pause. When we come forward, let's continue the conversation about finances, as there's been a new report that shows that nearly 50% of U.S. parents are financially supporting adult children. We'll have that conversation up next here on the Areva Martin in Real Time show here on KBLA 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. President Biden and Donald Trump are preparing for next week's presidential debate. The debate will be on CNN June 27th. A 16-year-old white teen will spend 16 years behind bars for the deadly shooting of a black teen in Northeast Florida. Prosecutors say Bobby Dan and two other young suspects tried to rob a drug dealer. 15-year-old Mikhail Queen, who was black and was one of the alleged robbers, was killed.